Product provided by Nintendo. Mario Golf. A long-running franchise, which has been through a lot across the years, and it isn't much different than Super Rush, which is a typical Camelot game in the last few years with great promise, but uncertain delivery. Let's be honest, this game was never going to be a hole-in-one, but with the first Mario Golf in HD, expectations were present for Super Rush. As a result, I will be brutally honest to give you a clear answer on whether this game is Super Rush or Super Rushed through 3 categories: gameplay, controls, and modes. In return, I just ask you to leave a like on this video and subscribe, preferably with notification bell on, to not miss future brutally honest reviews. Mario Golf Super Rush does golfing well, with the technicality and all golf irons that you would expect. As a fan of sports games in general, and not only Mario sports titles, there's plenty of fun to have here, especially when playing with other family members and friends with you or online. The selection of Mario Universe characters is satisfying, though it surprised me when I first started the game that all playable characters minus your own me, which we'll soon get back to, are already unlocked, with only the missing courses left to be, well, unlocked through the game's story mode or by playing through all 18 holes on each course. But even then, after unlocking these courses, you're left wondering, is that it? You may have already guessed it. But when it comes to the number of courses, Super Rush does feel super rushed. How? As there are a grand total of 6 courses in this game. A good selection of holes to play through if you decide to only play 3-hole games, though if you're a fan of the sport of golf like me and love to play 18-hole rounds, then this game quickly loses its merits after a day or so of play and replaces it with repetitiveness and dullness, as there simply isn't much more to this game. Which is a shame, since the game opens up with a great short movie, has plenty of classic golf customization in its settings, the special shots of each character are a spectacle to behold, and speed golf adds some excitement to an otherwise limited experience which simply feels unfinished due to its number of courses. So there we have established that there are no other courses than the 2 you start with and the 4 you can unlock through the adventure mode or through playing all 18 holes on each previous course. I can say straight out that without speed golf and battle golf, which we'll talk about in the modes category, then this game would have been more than shallow, and even with these, it sadly feels like another half-hearted effort from Camelot. The first couple of hours feel great, but after a while I began to lose motivation as I had played through pretty much everything that is unique and more so fun in this game. Once again, just like with Splatoon in 2015, ARMS in 2017, and Camelot's Mario Tennis Aces in 2018, we see mid-year Nintendo games that are released in what some will consider an unfinished state, and which will not be finished until far more content is added to the game. So content-wise, Mario Golf Super Rush does feel super rushed, as there's simply not enough at launch, and that hurts so much when the gameplay and visuals otherwise don't disappoint. It isn't about how you shoot and putt, but simply that there isn't enough to shoot and putt, since the controls are actually not that bad. Which brings us over to Category 2, Controls. Do I like the controls in Mario Golf Super Rush? To a degree, and I'm still glad that they added motion controls to let me relive my Wii Sports Golf experience, and this time with Mario characters. It is just that this one is limited to only certain modes in the game, so the immersion granted by motion controls is just like the gameplay limited by what the game has to offer. Since outside an enjoyable motion control experience, Mario Golf Super Rush is simply not as enjoyable for me, as it is clear that this game is more shallow than past entries. You have a great selection of control, and even camera control when playing speed golf and the adventure mode, but my recommendations is simple. When you're allowed to play with motion controls in this game, then play with motion controls, as that immersion and feeling of swinging a golf club is something that I think most of us have been missing since the Wii Sports days. Yes, this is in no ways a proper golf simulator, but the regular button controls are simply dull and extremely repetitive, as it is literally the top-down golf minigame found in 51 worldwide games, but with a little extra depth and courses. It also doesn't help that the special shots feel even more automated, which isn't exactly what you need in a technical sport like golf. Because of this nature, classic golf outside of motion controls quickly turns into a bore, and the motivation to replay the same courses isn't really there. I cannot stress this out enough. If you're not a fan of regular golf, then you will be quickly bored in the classic mode. It is enjoyable in shorter play sessions, or more specifically the first few hours of the game, but the longer you play this mode with button controls, the less exciting it simply gets for me. Luckily, the 2 new modes make up for it, and its sadly shallow story modes. Category 3, Game Modes. since the controls in regular speed golf and battle golf are far less limited, and if you want to, you can after unlocking new courses just focus on speed golf, as this mode is simply fun and by all means the saving grace of a Mario Golf game that could have been so much more than this. Running around the golf field while punching opponents or simply rushing through them and knocking the golf balls away is what keeps the excitement up. With a good stamina system, you always feel on your toes, as you want to get to where your ball landed before your opponents. Speed golf with its time element and dueling competitive racing nature rushing on foot and its more crazy and even more competitive cousin battle golf is what makes this game still fun in the end. These two modes demonstrate that golf games can be so much more than striking or putting a golf ball correctly, since to a degree it is more about how you get to the ball and how fast you manage to do that after your first drive. And battle golf really lives up to its namesake battle mode in Mario Kart, where it is all about capturing free golf holes, flags, before your free rivals. It is frenetic, it can get messy, but it also feels like a real kick for as long as it lasts. It would have been an even greater party mode if it wasn't limited to one stadium and 4 different variations, meaning that after a few minutes of play you have played through pretty much all of its courses. But in this case, quality over quantity is definitely a hit. Sadly, Mario Golf's Super Rush biggest letdown, and I think the one that the most we're excited for, is the Mii Story mode, Golf Adventure mode, which comes with its own hub world sections, a number of challenges, a story, if you can call it that, but it's overall too short, shallow, and probably worst of all, uninteresting. The story is as generic as it gets, the Mii obviously has no real personality, and I simply don't find it entertaining. There are some attempts at jokes, but it all drowns in way too many lines of text, which I simply want to skip through to continue playing golf. And as shallow as this mode is, I can commend this mode that it isn't mandatory to unlock the 4 unlockable courses. It starts off exciting, but this excitement quickly runs and it isn't a good sign when you're glad that the biggest single player section of the game is over in 4 to 5 hours. Final verdict. There is a theme that goes through Mario Golf Super Rush over and over. Some of what is here is good. Speed golf is really good, but there's simply not enough here to hold me over. And the more you play through this game, the more you think, or at least feel, that this game was indeed super rushed, and that content that should have been here is simply missing. Even when playing online, this game's lack of content is noticeable with no online tournaments. And with 4 golf courses less in total at launch than 3DS World Tour, there's no wonder why I'm not impressed by Mario Golf Super Rush. This is a Camelot game that will even have problems exciting true golf fans, while regular Nintendo fans who are not big golfers will wonder why this is a $60 title when the game is shallow compared to other Nintendo games and even past entries in the Mario Golf series on far weaker hardware. It could have been so much more, and we are used to better than this, and even with future DLC content added for free, I have to ask, why not offer us a worthy game on launch day, getting a better score, instead of expanding the experience from multiple free DLC updates afterwards? It just leaves a sour taste when we instead should be full of joy of a new Mario Golf game that offers some of the best golf gameplay and content in any sports video games. So with that in mind, I give Mario Golf Super Rush a brutally honest score of 69 out of 100, which would normally be nice, but in this case it isn't, as it is one of the most disappointing Nintendo brand games on the Nintendo Switch. Technically it pulls off its initial drive, but content-wise, there's no way to justify a better score. This is a game that could have been so much more at launch, especially its Golf Adventure mode. And that is my brutally honest review. If you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, subscribe, and press the notification bell to not miss any future brutally honest Nintendo reviews. At the same time, I want to see what you think about this game, so sound off in the comment section down below. A big thanks as always goes to all our great patreon.com/commonrealm patrons, and then in particular royal producer Charles Shush. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these 2 awesome videos.